Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Love Hour podcast. I'm your host, MrsKevOnStage, and I'm joined by my husband and co-host,
KevOnStage.
And if you are new here, welcome. Welcome to a new year. Welcome to a new day. Welcome to new mercies, new grace. I felt the need to add more to that, but I don't have anything else to say. So welcome.
Mercies are new every morning.
His mercies are new every morning, and for that we are glad. We are so grateful to be here on today. We'd like to give honor to God, who's been in my life.
Right, doing testimony service.
Because it felt very churchy, did it not? It felt
did.
very like I'm giving the welcome speech for the visiting church. So today, what I was going to say is, if you're new here, we are a podcast where we talk about life, love, and the pursuit of happiness, and a lot of other randomness. And we were scheduled to have a guest today, but unfortunately, our guest could not make it. But they will reschedule, and then we'll have them back. So, what we're going to do today is have a conversation about triggers. And this is how it started, because when the guest told me, obviously, that he wasn't going to be able to, or they weren't going to be able to make it, I was like, oh no, so what are we going to talk about? And so I started listening to Oprah's podcast, where basically she just, first of all, this is brilliant. What she does is she recycles episodes from the Oprah Winfrey Show, and then condenses them to like the best segments, and has fully created a Oprah Winfrey Show podcast. I kid you not.
Does she pull clips from the show, or
No, it's like the full. No. It is the show, the audio only.
Is it any new audio?
No. She'll start the episode like, this is one of my show episodes that air April 20, but it's not even a highlight. It's like the actual.
Like,
this
bro,
is my
like
episode from April 21st, 1985, where we had this person on and we talked about this.
That's what happens when you do two things.
Let's
One,
get into it.
Have a lot of content.
Yes.
Two, own it.
Yes.
And go back and be like, do you remember this
She
episode from
literally talks
1985?
about,
No, you don't.
I've done the intro to the show is like, I was on the air for, how long was she on the air? 25 years?
It was definitely over 20. I don't know exactly, though.
I want to say 25, however long she was on the air. I've done over X amount of episodes, and I believe the Oprah Winfrey Show was one of the greatest classrooms of all time, like something like that. And to the point where it's like, so I just feel the need to retell y'all how great I was by re-airing the episodes over the last 25 years. Yes. And so, they said 25 years. And I think it's fabulous.
Episode.
Because she runs ads on it.
Listen, when you own it, you can get paid however many times you want.
Listen, I am mad.
I love Oprah. I did not watch her show in 1985.
That's what I'm saying. And that's actually what I find the most, intriguing, is that we were teenagers really at like Oprah. Yeah. And so I wasn't really watching Oprah like that. And so
Black
to go
people
back
love to do that repeat thing, and it makes
it makes a difference.
It does.
Because you know what I mean? If I wasn't watching it like that, that might be shade.
Yeah.
But like that is like, I don't mean it shadily. I just mean like, I really just didn't really watch it.
But in the morning I say, list you up. She'll be like, I'm up, but I ain't up. And that means like I'm awake, but I'm not ready to get out of bed.
Right.
The day started.
That means my eyes are open, but my body is not out of the bed.
I'm sleepy, but I ain't sleepy.
What does that mean?
I'm tired, but I know I'm not finna go to sleep. I'm finna.
That's exactly what that means.
That's, you know what I'm saying? I'm hungry, but I'm not hungry. I mean, I need something to hold me over. See, we be knowing.
There is an unspoken, I don't know what to call it, but there's just a Black language that you inherently understand when you grow up Black. This is why it's a hard time teaching people that don't grow up here, like the English language, because it's like, what y'all be saying?
It's gotta make sense, man.
Yeah, because bad means bad, but bad also means good.
Yes.
We were listening to the history of swear words, and they were talking about, it's a great show. But
go ahead.
They were just talking about how like the B word is derogatory, but it also could be like the most edifying, most uplifting compliment, but only that a woman could give another woman.
Yes.
I was just like, the accuracy, and you only understand that like in context, though. What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna continue on that joke path. I'm saved, but I ain't saved. I mean, I'll be like, I listen to Fred Hammond, then Flo Milli.
Oh yeah,
balance. But anyway, triggered.
Triggers. So yeah. So we're going to be talking about triggers. Back to the Oprah Winfrey Show. How we just went all around the mulberry bush.
That mulberry bush. I mean, it's a mulberry bush. It ain't the mulberry bush.
That's not a thing.
That's the only time it doesn't work.
Yeah, that doesn't work. So it's called literally the Oprah Winfrey Show, the podcast. I'm like literally not playing.
Hilarious.
And so because I listen to a lot of random podcasts. So the title of the episode, for anybody wondering, is called How to Save Your Marriage. It aired in February 27th, 1989. It was a two-parter in February 28th, 1989. And I told you guys I'm not lying. These are like April 3rd, 1985.
When did her show start?
I don't know.
Dang.
We need a fact checker. We don't have one.
This is before she was on the Miracle Mile back.
Yeah, you can tell because her voice is still really high pitched as well. So anyway, I didn't listen to part 1. I was listening to part 2, and they have like these couples on, and they're talking about like 1986. So we were three. And
what was Josh?
Not
alive. What was Becca? Since they want to know 90s R&B all the time, what were they? Nothing. No. Yeah,
1986.
My parents were thought and bopping and wasn't thinking about me.
That's actually true. Thought and bopping. That's they was.
Greg, you was alive, huh? Melissa, you was alive?
I was alive. I was a whole 3 years old.
Angel, was she alive? She was 25 at the time.
You stupid.
She can't even defend her name.
No, she can't. But
she
go
can't.
ahead. What happened in 1989?
Which is so funny because Angel be like, I was born in the same decade as you guys, but you guys will put her in the 70s in a minute.
60s.
In the 60s
she
in a
marched
minute.
with Martin.
Although, what did I ask her? Was she a baby boomer? I couldn't think of the generation between the baby boomers and us, which I guess is she really our generation? Anyways, we're not finna have the conversation.
No, they kicked her out of millennials.
So she is the generation before, right?
Yeah, but it's not baby boomers. We always have this conversation.
Yeah, I think it's Generation X because we're generation.
Yes, that's what it was.
No, I think we're generation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, my kids are Z. So what am I?
Millennials.
X. Anyways, so this is the point.
We're millennials. X is
no, X and millennial are one and the same.
Oh, we always have this argument.
I know, and you're always wrong.
No, because
Google it.
Triple H
Google it.
H is Generation X. I'm trying to tell you, you're gonna be wrong again.
What is Generation X?
That's the year. That's before us.
That's the generation before us.
Because it was on that Time magazine.
That's why.
Yes.
Kids are Gen Z.
Oh, okay. Hold on. But what is Generation X then?
That's Angel.
Are they the baby boomers?
No.
No.
Baby boomers is the year before that.
No, it says the generation born after the baby boomers.
It's
roughly the
X.
early 60s to late 70s. But you said Angel.
Angel, no, Angel really isn't a millennial. She literally is Generation X.
That's why I'm confused because I think she really is our generation.
She's on the cusp.
She got kicked out. Millennial starts in 81 and ends in like 97.
This says end date in 80.
That's why Angel's out. And our parents were born in this time with Angel.
My mom was. My dad was not.
Yeah.
Okay, we're good.
And then your dad's technically a boomer.
81. We're millennial Y. Okay.
Girl, we just talking.
I know, but my confusion was Angel. It's always my confusion. No, I could be wrong. I don't mind being wrong. My confusion was Angel.
Angel is literally like right with us, but
she's on the cusp. I group her with us.
She's us in every sense of the world.
Right.
We are,
yeah,
and that's why
I don't like being called a millennial.
Because you think millennial with Gen Z.
Correct. No. Not even. I think millennial. I think y'all.
That's us.
No, we do.
We already do this every time. Every time Becca's here. Let's talk about the Oprah Winfrey podcast.
Okay.
It'll be 10 minutes in, you fussing over Angel being 75.
Respect her name.
Okay, so anyways, I was listening to the podcast, and the guy on the podcast said, the gentleman that was like the therapist, so to speak, what he said was, triggers are triggered in your relationships, but they are often rooted in childhood.
Okay, say that one more time for the people in the back.
Okay. Triggers are triggered in relationships, but they are often rooted, or he didn't say often, you get it, but they're rooted in childhood.
Yes. Listen, my therapist, all she does every session is find out what issue I have and connect it back to something that happened when I was a kid. Literally, somehow, it seems everything comes back to
Childhood,
how you were raised, your birth order, how you were this, the thing your parents said, poverty, how you saw the world, some interaction that was maybe not all childhood, but even like teen stuff. Even things and the crazy thing is I thought it was going to be all traumatic things.
Right.
And it's not always everything traumatic. Like a conversation I had with my dad, and he didn't mean no ill will, and I didn't take it as no ill will. When I needed my first apartment, I've talked about this before. My first apartment, I got an eviction notice on my first day because I didn't know they wanted the rent on the first if it was a Saturday. So I was like, well, surely I can pay on Monday.
Right.
I was a little late. So I was like, dang, Dad, I didn't need money the first time. But he was like, the world only cares about you as much as you pay your bills on time. That somehow got in my mind and stuck. And then like 2 or 3 months later, I was short $200 on the rent. And he was like, I'm going to give it to you this time and I'm never helping you again.
Yeah.
And it wasn't on some like, I don't have it. It was more on some like, I'm about to move to Spain. You're going to have to figure things out on your own. So those two things happening within the first 6 months of my apartment ingrained in me, no one's going to help you.
Right.
Which was, and here's another thing my therapist says that I'm really trying to grasp. Some parts of your personality are good. They're just not good all the time. So Ambitious Kev on Stage was built out of that.
Yeah.
I don't need anybody, and not in the negative sense, but in the sense of like nobody's going to help you, which was very valuable. But Kev on Stage Studios Kev, that he can't coexist with that Kev.
Right. So
I need to use that when I need it. But now in this next phase of what we're doing, I need more Kev on Stage Studios, which is I need the help of a lot of people. But a lot of times I try to take nobody's gonna help you with your rent, Kev, into you do need help, Kev.
Right.
But identifying those things is really important. So that's the only way you can really do the work is knowing where that comes from. So you can say, okay, that's that part of my personality that I need to either adjust or curb depending on the situation. Like, and I'm gonna say this and you can talk. She was like, you can be a shrewd businessman. And I thought that was bad. She was like, no. Sometimes you got to lean into that. But you just know when you're doing that because you need to. And you don't do that. If you don't do, she calls it shadow work. If you don't identify those parts of yourself, then they take over without you being aware of and therefore in control of. And if you can identify them, then you can do that work and operate in a better thing. Because otherwise you end up passing all that off to them children because you ain't do your own work. And now they don't know why they messed up because you said if you're either first, you're last. That's really an example of it.
Yeah, it is.
If you ain't first, you're last. Ricky Bobby taking that personally and his dad being like, I was high.
Yeah.
You can be second, third, fourth. Hell, you can be fifth. And him being like,
what?
But that's how we internalize things.
So one of the things that you were talking about in this is if you're not doing your own shadow work, you'll often pass that on to your kids. And that's how in the Bible we call it, or in the churchy world, they call it generational curses. And if you're not careful, you will pass down those type of characteristics, attributes, mindsets, whatever to your kids, who then will pass it on to their kids. And before you know, you have a whole entire family bloodline, it seems, that are all struggling with the same type of things. So you do have to be it's really important, especially when you're talking about a legacy. I've been thinking about my legacy a lot lately too. Like, what is the mark that I want to leave on the world when people think of or say my name? What are the words and images that I want to have people think of and make sure that I'm working to that end every single day in my life. Before we move on, I want to also talk to you guys about the importance of establishing a daily routine that will benefit you not just today, but throughout the week, throughout the month. And one of those things is establishing a ritual by incorporating ritual into your daily routine. What is ritual? First of all, if you don't follow me on the Instagram, that means you didn't see our amazing ad that we did for ritual. Shout out to Joshy Gons. Shout out to Kev on Stage. Shout out to creative ideas coming together and pulling it off.
Miss Kev on Stage, yourself also.
It was really, really good. But ritual is a daily multivitamin that you can take. It contains no sugars, GMOs, synthetic fillers, or or artificial colorants. Not to mention there are no animal byproducts at all, so that makes it vegan friendly. Ritual is formulated with key nutrients, including vitamin D3 to help fill in gaps in the diet. You'll always know where your nutrients come from thanks to Ritual's one-of-a-kind, visible supply chain, now available for both men, women, teens, and they have even something for pregnant women. Ritual multivitamins are specifically developed to help support different life stages. You deserve to know what's in your multivitamin. That's why Ritual is offering my listeners 10% off during your first 3 months. Visit ritual.com/lovehour to start your ritual today. One more time, that's ritual.com/lovehour, and you will get 10% off during your first 3 months. Shout out to Ritual.
Nice.
That was pretty good.
That was a good one. That was the best woe you've ever woed.
Okay, so one of the things that you said that's really, really, really important is recognizing your triggers. And so I recently finally started my journey on therapy.
Yes.
And
Join us.
yes,
Do the work.
it's doing the work.
Do the
And
work.
it's so funny though, because what she said to me, my work is almost the opposite, I think, of most of your work. Maybe I won't say most people because I don't want to make that whole generalization. But she said, Melissa, I almost think that you are too self-reflective. And actually, she didn't say that. She said, Melissa, you are too self-reflective. I'm working on being more direct with my words and not beating around the bush to soften things when it's unnecessary.
Yeah.
So, which would be an overly
beat on the-
self-reflective moment that I just had.
Yeah. You beat around the bush. You want to be hard.
So, anyways, and so what happened was I am actually working on my triggers, which I had started before therapy. It was one of the things that I recognized I needed to not only be able to identify, but work on the skills in order to overcome them in the moment. Because you can't necessarily prevent the triggers from happening, but you can have a skill set that allows you to I can still function without having attitude. And so that's what I was working on even before the whole therapy thing started. And so she had me download this app. It's called Mood Kit. Obviously not sponsored here, but shout out to us if you do want to sponsor us. Okay. Fantastic app. And what you do, or what she has me doing in there, is writing out my triggers. And then it has you kind of go upstream and downstream of the trigger. So what led you to that trigger? What kind of thoughts and emotions, or maybe the circumstance or the conversation that led to the trigger?
Yeah.
And then what thoughts did that trigger produce after?
Okay.
So it's kind of like a womb
like
to
assessing in
tomb,
real time?
Yes, of what's going on with the trigger. And so as I started, do you want me to share the?
Of course.
You know where I'm going? Okay.
Real time, real relationships.
Okay.
As always with the Love Hour, we're not telling you the things that we conquered 5-6 years ago, but more 5 seconds ago. And not also they are conquered. They are just happening.
They're a work in progress.
We are opening ourselves up to works in progress so that you can open yourself up.
So,
Butt stuff. Are you in on it?
okay. So what happened was after she started me on this journey, and this is why she said it. I was like, so, you had me doing this, and I started thinking to myself, what if I did this? Because I felt like this might be better and more effective. And she was like, actually, I'm really glad you did that. And I'll get to that in a minute. But I also want you to work on being more present in the moment and not being so heady, because what happens for me in my self reflection is that in real time, I can thought myself, so to speak, out of being present in the moment. And being present for me looks like just, engagement and enjoying the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I start thinking about, literally, it could be how should I respond? Should I give a hug? Should I be sad? Should I put my hand on their shoulder? Literally, I start doing that kind of stuff, and it takes me out of the moment all the way to you're talking, and I'm like, oh, so that affects me like this, which means I should probably do this, which means it will affect my kid. It just starts taking me to all these different places. And so she's like, I just want you to start being more present in the moment and not getting so caught up in the head part of it. So anyway, I say all of that to say she gives me this exercise, and in my self-reflection, I think, what would be great and what would make this a little bit better is if instead of writing all of these triggers down, if I'm able to have the conversation with Kevin in real time.
Let me tell you what is hard. And I asked for this.
Yeah.
real-time conversations about things you just did while the emotions are still fresh. That is marriage 3000. This is graduate level PhD studies marriage. Because it takes another level of like.
It's on both ends.
Yeah. Go ahead.
It is on, I mean, just to piggyback off what you were saying, that
Clubhouse.
it is, first of all, I was saying that before Clubhouse. How about Clubhouse piggybacked off
Dropping
me?
gems right here. Some heavy hitters in the room. One mic.
Or do you be on the Clubhouse like that?
Focus.
I'm sorry. Okay, my sister loves the app.
I got us off. I want to bring us back.
So what happened is that, or to piggyback off what you were saying, is that it is difficult on both ends. It is not only difficult on the hearer, and sometimes that's me, to be honest. We're both doing it, one to each other. It is also difficult for the person who is speaking.
Yes.
And the reason why is because, number one, it's vulnerable.
Yes.
And the more I understand what vulnerability truly is, and it's really just the opening up of yourself.
Man.
Anytime you do that, I'm starting to become acutely aware of, ooh, this is uncomfortable. Ooh, this is like a super exposing, transparent thing that's about to happen. And it makes you scared, nervous, anxious on what the response will be. Yeah. And that's where the vulnerability lies.
Yes. And you often, you think so much. You think, if I say this, what he gonna say? If he gonna say this, I'm not gonna say this. So then you end up sitting with stuff. I want to say two things. One, have you ever seen inside of a kangaroo's pouch?
No. Okay.
You would think it's fur and then fur. Think about vulnerability. I saw a video the other day about a kangaroo's pouch. When you look in there,
how did you get there?
I'm gonna tell you, it's their body. Like you're in there. Like that, their insides are exposed.
Oh, meaning their internal
rib cage.
Oh, really?
So you think that, I'm gonna peek in there. It's really vulnerable in there. Like you could get hurt, blah, blah, blah. Like you're really that much closer. That's what I think about vulnerability. You think it's just this little pouch and it's safe in there. But actually when you peek inside, that's you. They're very much exposed by letting you peek inside there. And that's what vulnerability is. I remember the other day, I don't know exactly what story.
Say the whole analogy.
Vulnerability, a lot of times you think it's just a peek inside but just letting somebody in that much, your whole insides are exposed.
I want to add to your analogy.
Okay.
It is also allowing someone in.
Because you got to put that little baby in
right.
there.
And as soon as you get in, there's no protection.
No, you in.
Yes. And so
you're exposed and it's dangerous.
And it's dangerous. And so allowing someone the opportunity where you're going to open up this pouch, so to speak. It's like, okay, now you need to be careful up in there. You can hurt me. Because you can hurt me. All my vital organs
are
a word. All of my vital organs are now within your reach. Mm-hmm. They're all you can hurt me literally because I've let you in. And that is scary. Go.
So what?
Yeah, the vital organs kind of got me because I started literally thinking about like your heart.
Yes.
Yeah, get it?
What's hard about doing this in real time, you get to triggered. And this happened the other day, and I'll let you say what you're going to say. Lissa triggered me. And I said, okay, I'm going to go doo-doo.
Why
I'm going to take my switch in there.
Detail?
And I'm going to stay in this bathroom for an hour. Okay, which I did. Played my FIFA, really think about, and I sucked because I'm starting my career over and my guy sucks and my team sucks. So that actually didn't help. Mm-hmm. I was just playing my season. My character was 38. He was a 91. They was winning 7-0.
That's hilarious.
So it wasn't giving me the relief I got. I finished doo-doo with, and I take me a shower. I said, I ain't done processing. Take me a 30-minute shower. Lissa came in. I said, I'm out. As soon as she came in, I'm out. I'm out the shower now. I'm done. Then we sat down next to each other in the bed, still thinking. In about 2 hours from the trigger moment, we've been doing this thing, relationship check-ins. Good or bad.
That's where I went to the mood kit thing.
Yeah, relationship check-ins is just where you want to say, hey, I until last night I thought they were all bad, but you can be having a good day and still check in about something that's outside the relationship. But anyway, so I brought it up to Melissa. I said, hey, when this happened, it made me feel this way. And obviously she was aware of it. And we were able to go back to a relationship check-in we had, I don't know, a day or two ago, 2 or 3 days ago, and to say, here's how that made me feel. And Melissa said, here's how that made me feel. And here's what I conveyed, or here's what that conveyed to me. Melissa apologized. I said, hey, I'm going to work on this, how to handle this better. But even like sometimes, and this is silly, but we just going to be open. It is so hard to even bring it up because Melissa usually says, hey, do you want to check in? And it was my turn. So I said, okay, I'm literally like doing the inside version of my head doing this. So this is what I would do when I have a hard time saying something to Melissa. I'd be like, and this is random, I'd be like, I'm going to say it in 17 seconds. 16, 15, 14, 13, 12. In my head, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. I'm going to say it in 5 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2. In 3 minutes, I'm going to say it. And I literally could do that for 5 minutes. And then I just be like, I was laying on my back. I said, when we was on the phone and this happened, you said this, this is what I was trying to do. And then you made me feel like this. And she said, oh, I'm glad you brought that up. Here's how this made me feel. And we worked through it for about 30 minutes. And then you go to bed better, but it is not easy.
No, and that's why I say it's vulnerable even on the person's end to have to like share that. You know what I mean? Like that is extremely vulnerable and uncomfortable and not often what you want to do. But I recognize that is how, by not saying those things, it chips and erodes at the armor of a relationship.
Yes.
And so
erosion is a great word.
It is a great word
because it is.
This is cracking me up.
It's little by little.
Yeah.
Erosion happens.
Yes.
And if you're not paying attention, next thing you know, you have the doggone Grand Canyon.
Right. And that's what is the important part, is that you have to go through life and into your marriage knowing that every day you have to protect that armor. You have to go through, shine it up, coat it up, whatever you have to do to keep it in pristine condition, because if you don't, it will slowly erode. Just you think about weather and how it slowly, things start to rust and then it starts to chip away. And then before you know, it's like, what? I don't even know how this hole got here.
Something rusting.
Right. That's what all of a sudden there's a hole and you're like, when did this get here?
Yeah,
and it was just the slow erosion. And that's, the thing about that is it's a small hole here, also a small hole here, and a small hole here and here. And before you know it, the holes get bigger and they start connecting. And now you have a hole.
That is good.
A hole. But you get what I'm saying? After I said that, I was
that's
like,
good.
It's a little something more profound. In my need to be a little less serious, I'm struggling to find good words this podcast episode.
No, that makes a lot of sense. You got a little crack in the foundation here, and Greg know about this, and little over here, and if you don't, them may connect. Now you done fell through your bottom floor, and they on horrors like the city gonna take your house.
Right.
Like, what? I just had a little bit of trash.
And it always starts off with just a little bit. And that's why, when you see people in divorce, they always got incidents from 20 and 30 years prior.
Always something.
And it's because they weren't addressed in the moment. Before we move on, let's cut to ad. SkillShare has a tutorial for you. It is the place for creatives and the place for people like me who just consider themselves a forever student. They quite literally have everything. You follow me on my YouTube channel, you know that I'm on a journey to learn as many things as I can on Skillshare. We've done drone stuff with Joshua. I've made cookies. I've done a productivity class. I've done all sorts of things on their platform because it just literally has some of I've done blogs, how to write a blog post on there. They quite literally have, if you need to learn it, I assure you it's probably going to be on their platform. It's really great. Why? Number one, it is ad free.
Yep.
They're constantly updating their platform to include premium information all of the time. And with an annual subscription, their membership is less than $10 a month. Yes, they are sponsors of the episode, and they are also sponsors of Miss Kev on Stage. Explore your creativity at SkillShare.com/Love Hour and get a free trial of premium membership, because we don't do nothing basic over here. That's SkillShare.com/Love Hour.
Love
One more
Hour.
time, SkillShare.com/Love Hour. Boom. At the end of every ad, I will be doing the whoa. Is that what it's called?
Well, I don't know what you're doing, but
This isn't the whoa?
what you're doing is the double dutch. Listen, tell him Large Marge sent you.
Why did Greg say
That's how
called
old black
steering a
people.
car?
If you take the steering wheel down this way, you old. Let me just go ahead and hit
I want
it
you
with
guys
this.
to know that I hate all of you in this room. Okay, so the point of these check-ins is it's both parties. It is to help. What I find for my triggers, especially as I'm doing the analysis of what led to the trigger itself, and then what did that trigger produce in terms of the feelings that I felt afterward, is that those feelings for me, they linger and they compound. That was very honest.
That was good.
Okay.
I from the person who be compounded, I agree.
So by allowing myself to get it out, it helps to create a different storyline, or at least it helps to challenge that storyline that I can tell myself after the trigger happens.
Listen, because if it's unchallenged, your mind is going to agree with your mind.
Oh, absolutely.
And then you just, more Melissas be like, girl. And then remember when they this, and remember that, and you can get with this, and you can get with that. And if you open it up to discussion, oftentimes, at least in our relationship, you realize the intention wasn't that.
Right.
And then it takes that, it takes those other layers off.
Yeah.
Because you realize, matter of fact, a lot of times the intention was the opposite. And now the most important thing, now watch this, you got to get this.
Okay.
The partner hearing that, internalizing that, and adjusting. Because what's helpful for us is not, and obviously it's not going to be perfect. You're going to make the mistake here and there. But now I'm made aware.
Right.
Of, because I'm trying to figure out how we can share one. Can I share this one that was most recent?
Yeah, where you're going is fine.
Okay. So we was on a business call, and this comes from the difficulty of Melissa having her own job outside of me having my own job for still the large portion of our marriage and life. Working together is new. Working together this close is even newer. So what happened, we was on a conference call, and in my mind, I'm trying to make sure I'm cognizant of not dominating the conversations, leaving space for Melissa to have her voice and for that voice to be heard, seen, and valued by me and by the other people on the calls.
Yeah.
So one of the people on the calls asked, and obviously me and Melissa are the owners of the company, so the sign off has to come from us. So in an effort to give Melissa the sign off, they said, hey, are y'all okay? Honestly, it was the first phase of the building. They had all this doggone budget. This is where these tweets have been coming from. And me and Melissa looking at the number and looking at each other, and it's like, Jesus. I mean, we've been preparing for this, but preparing and having to sign off is two different feelings.
Yeah.
You know, we did everything right. We have it. But then you have it, you got to spend it. So they asked, hey, are y'all ready? And we need an answer. And I say, Liz, right? And Lissa admittedly snapped a little bit. She was like, I'll talk when I'm ready. Little laugh. Everybody laughed. The people on the other call don't know we got marriage problems. Bad marriage for life. That was funny when they did that. You don't have to hit my hand.
It's fine.
So Kev is triggered. That's what I'm finna do. Okay? So after the end of that, because in my mind, and this is what is compounding on me too, in my mind, I'm like, you going, because your own hype man is going to hype you up.
Right.
My hype man is telling me, you trying to leave space and be cognizant and do that. And when you go out of your way, make sure, I'm just walking through my feelings.
Right.
You go out of the way, you make sure, and then she going to snap. Okay, bet. See if I leave space again, ain't going to be no space. It's going to be all park. So in my head, I'm going over like, why would she do this? Why would she do that? Man, I'm tripping, man. This is so hard. I'm really working hard. Blah, 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 blah. So we get to this check-in about 2 hours later, and I say, hey, and honestly, I just want to pause here. Still as a man, raised the way I was raised, patriarchal society, you got to be the man, you can't show feelings, you can't show weakness. It is still hard to say, when you did this, it made me feel this way. That is a hard thing. It's a hard sentence to utter. I feel weak doing it. I don't feel manly doing it.
That's vulnerability.
I'm a man. You can't hurt my feelings. But some comedians say men be saying they ain't hurt, and then they die of a stroke at 53 because they got all that unexpressed hurt. So we have our check-in. I tell Melissa how that made me feel. And her response was, do you want me to tell your response?
My response was, first of all, I apologize because I recognized that I was having a triggering moment, and that wasn't what he was trying to project, but that was definitely the way that I received it. And the reason why is because it goes back to those stories that I'm always telling myself.
Yeah.
So to provide a little bit of context, one of the stories that I'm constantly telling myself, and it's so funny because I think about conversations we had very early on in marriage, and I didn't recognize what I was saying at the time. But I used to always say, you have such a takeover spirit. Do you remember that?
Yes.
I didn't realize.
That's year 1 through 3.
Yes. I did not realize what I was truly saying as much as I understand what I was truly saying now. Yeah, and I didn't even understand it. So anyways, the one of the stories that I'm constantly battling for myself is battling the control of Kevin. And so I'm always working on trying to I don't need you to I feel like you're controlling me and I don't need you to do that. And so in the moment, it didn't feel like an invitation. Literally the image, sometimes when I talk, images come to mind. And so the best way that I can explain it was it felt like he pushed me out on stage instead of inviting me on stage. And that felt like control is what it felt like, because it wasn't, Melissa, do you have anything you want to say? It was, Melissa, it's your turn to talk, or Melissa, you can talk, or something along those lines.
It felt like owning the process.
It felt like owning the process. And so it triggered me. And so I was wrong in my response. I had to recognize, well, why did I respond that way? And so we had to go through a whole, I need to, and during the time where I could tell he was triggered, I'm like, okay, so obviously it's this. I responded this way. Okay, Melissa, why? What is going on with you that you snapped that way, where maybe, and I recognize that wasn't his intent, but child, that was my interpretation. Okay. And you can't always help in the moment.
No, your feelings don't care about nothing.
Yeah. Your feelings come out, you know what I mean? And so, I had to own, okay, I did that wrong. I am sorry. The reason I responded this way is because this is something that we've dealt with in our marriage. And in this moment, it felt like that. I understand that's not what you intended. I understand I was wrong, but that is how I felt. So how do we do better? And so what I had to do was model.
Well, but let's be clear.
Okay.
I said how this is key. I want you to get this. This is Mark Moore's new saying that I want to adapt because he be saying it and I be cracking up. I want you to get this. I said, how can I make sure you're seen and heard? What best way does that feel like to you? And she said, and here's the good part, and I don't realize what we often do in marriage, we convey the emotion that we want our partner to do, but they don't necessarily take it that way.
Correct.
So Melissa said, what I want you to do, what would make me feel better is, and I do this to you often. I was like, you do that. Yeah. She said, I say, hey, before we make a decision, Kev, do you have something to say? Yeah. Melissa, do you want to talk first? She gave me 3 or 4 different options. It could be do you want me to talk first, or do you want to talk? Before I say something, do you want to say something? Or say your whole thing, but before you give it back to the people, say, hey, but I talked first. Melissa, do you have something you want to say? And she said, if you notice, and this went back to another time where I triggered her earlier in the week, and she said, when we had that thing, even though we were beefing in the moment, I still model this behavior. And I told her, I didn't take that as
modeling behavior.
I should now do this. I just was like,
and I didn't realize I was modeling it either. To be fair, you know what I mean? You don't realize that what you're doing is please do this back to me. You don't realize that.
Listen, I have a funny joke about, and I'm not going to tell the whole thing, but one of my jokes on stage, and I really did this in our marriage, I covered myself in baby oil and wrote a note that said, come get this. Remember this? And what I really wanted to do is I wanted to come home to you doing that. And I didn't realize that's what I was doing. So anyway, once she said that, I said, okay, now I know that when I want to convey this to her,
Right.
it's not just saying, let's go, which is what I conveyed. Not my intention, but what I conveyed. I can say any of these three things. And I just actually did it in this podcast a little while ago. I said, hey, blah, blah, blah. So, that amount of like, mind you, this is
2 days ago,
year
3 days ago.
21 of our relationship.
Yeah, that part though.
Gonna be year 17 of marriage, right? We got married in 2004.
Yes, correct.
It's gonna be year 17 of marriage, and I've been telling y'all the amount of work that I've been doing. I feel like LeBron. I got to do a lot more work now than earlier, and the reason why is because Melissa wasn't doing this earlier. Melissa was just letting me run rampant, blah blah blah. So now I got to go back and do work that I should have done early if things were on the up and up. But all that is happening in real time. And, you know, it's so important that we're both doing that, because most of the time in marriages and relationships, we get triggered, we shut down, we're cold, we don't want to talk about it. And then eventually we come out of it later on. But that trigger, nothing happened. Your spouse doesn't know exactly why. You don't maybe not even know why. And you've given each other no better way to handle this.
Right.
So then it happens again the exact same way.
Sure.
And you, in your mind, you're like, how you didn't learn? Last time that made me mad. And I'm thinking the same thing. And the whole time we're like, but you haven't said, hey, you did this, it made me feel this way. This is actually a better thing to what were you trying to convey? Brene Brown calls it what? What story are you telling yourself?
Yeah, the story. Yeah, the story that I'm telling myself.
The story that you're telling yourself, and if that's not checked, then your mind will make you the victor a lot of times.
Oh, for sure.
And make your partner the enemy,
100%.
and they don't have a chance to defend themselves or convey what they said. So, listen, in this season, I'm learning a lot of lessons and how to love my wife in this season of her life, in our life, where she's not going to be, I'm so handy. She's not going to be, you heard it? Yeah. She's not going to be letting me be takeover spirit boy. We are breaking that part of our relationship. But, you know, it's kind of like in when you lift weights, in order to get stronger, you actually have to lift to muscle failure, to where you can't like literally lift it and somebody got to spot you, because those muscles tear and like rebuild stronger. But if you don't lift to failure, you won't ever get to that. But that doggone failure part, when I was with Greg lifting, trying to get to 225, I thought I was going to doo-doo sometimes. And Greg would be like, bro, I'm not even holding it. But you really got to, extend all of your energy and almost break in order to get stronger. But that's not a pretty process, but it's absolutely necessary. I've been killing this podcast.
You have been doing fantastic.
I am in my BAG. You feel me? I need to take a break and get some water out there.
Okay. So, Kevin, what are you going to eat when you get home, since you were so hungry?
Oh, food. I'll probably be eating lemon mustard chicken from GreenChef.
Can you tell me why you enjoy GreenChef meals?
I like to not think about it. The majority of my life is a lot of thought. I don't want to have to think about my food options. I also don't want to have a lot of time to prep and do all that stuff. So with GreenChef, I can see I'm having me some lemon mustard chicken. Okay, it's going to take me 30 minutes to make it. It's 830 calories.
Ooh,
okay,
nice.
This is the information I need to know. The recipe card is right there. All the ingredients are right there. It's no thinking, no frills. I just need to cook it, eat it, and move on about my life. And it comes in a box. It's already packed, sealed. All I got to do is put that stuff in the refrigerator. When I'm hungry, go get my recipe card, what I'm finna eat. Lemon mustard chicken, fix that up, whip it good, eat it, going about my day. And I like that so much with my GreenChef. There's a range of recipes to suit any diet or preference.
GreenChef is the first USDA certified organic meal kit company. GreenChef makes eating well easy and affordable, with plans to fit every lifestyle, heavy on the easy part.
Yes.
Whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, or just looking to eat healthier, there's a range of recipes to suit any diet or preference. And specifically, Valentine's Day is coming up, and for those men's who maybe have a hard time creating or curating a meal for your significant other on this day, this is also a great way to create something that has variety. It's going to look exceptional. It's going to taste exceptional. And child, you didn't have to do no whole heck of a bunch of work.
That's right.
Go to greenchef.com/lovehour90 and use code lovehour90 to get 90 whole entire US dollars off, and that includes free shipping. Go to greenchef.com/lovehour90 and use code lovehour90 to get 90 dollars off, including free shipping. Green Chef, the #1 meal kit for eating well.
Eat well, be well. You feel me?
Okay, so the last things on triggers that I want to say is that part of this that I found to be extremely profound, and if I'm being completely honest, in the moment of realization, it made me a little sad, and there was a little grief involved. And then after that, I came to a point of empowerment, and this is why I think these like relationship check-ins are so important. Is that I said, "Oh wow, Kev, I feel like I'm actually at a point of like teaching you how to love me," and I got sad in the moment because I was like, well, girl, you've been married for a long time for just now to be a point where you feel like you're teaching someone how to love me how to love me. And so I started thinking about, I got sad because I was like, well, what you been doing for all these, what you been doing for all these years, girl? And so that did make me sad. And that was my self-reflective. And I also think that's why my therapist was like, girl, you got to calm down sometimes. I was like, I know I do, right? But the other part within the self-reflection came a moment of empowerment, because I realized that over the course of the last 3 years, 2 or 3, probably 3 years, I've gone through this rebirth. I've gone through this evolution.
Rebirth of Miss Franklin. Hosanna.
I was just about to say it. And so I feel like a natural Hosanna. I gotta do my praise dance.
We get off topic in 1 second.
I realized that a natural, for me, what seems to be a very natural progression in this evolution, in this rebirth, is not only the acknowledgement and loving of myself, but it is now setting boundaries on how I want the world to interact with me.
Yes.
And I feel like that's what this particular phase in, and that came with a lot of excitement. It came with a lot of empowerment, and I was able to quickly get over the grief of what was, because I'm excited for what the future will be.
And the thing is, in a husband of me, you have a person who is excited to learn to love the current version of you.
Yeah.
And we talked about this in the first Love Hour tour about, being like a cell phone and getting the updated terms and conditions. Like, if you are going to stay married for a long time, you are going to grow and change. And if you want to stay happily married, you're going to have to invite your partner into and tell them how to love the current version of you. Lissa, 2021 and Lissa 2029, you're going to have to be like, all right, Kev, now this is how I want to do this. This is how I do. You know what I'm saying? Like, Lissa, the first year of marriage prior to any kids was a different person. Motherhood lists, different person. Motherhood times 2, different person. Yeah. Motherhood times 2 lost her parents. Marriage, different person. They're both alive. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, you've always been teaching me how to love you.
Yeah.
This time probably is the most healthy and open version. And you can only blame yourself if you don't teach me.
Listen, I agree with that wholeheartedly. And that's is part of it was what came with, the sadness was recognizing the ownership that I have to take in silencing myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
it's your fault. Your fault.
There is a lot of ownership that I do have to take in that. And so I have to
100% of the ownership, honestly.
In owning that, I also have to hold myself accountable to make sure that I'm speaking my needs aloud and more directly. And so so I say all of that to say that's how the mood kit started and kind of evolved into what it is for us today. And so I thought it might be a good idea, because I know this episode it may be chaotic. Maybe in the edit it won't be as chaotic as it felt.
It's a good through line. Yeah. We got off topic a little bit, but it's a podcast.
Okay.
We talk for an hour. We can't be just trigger, an Oprah Winfrey show.
The last thing I wanted to do is kind of like explain the points of the. I'm not quite sure. Okay, stop. I'm not quite sure that there is something like specifically that we do, but maybe kind of how the relationship talks go.
Yeah,
the
sure.
Relationship check-ins. So typically,
And also, if you're single, you should do self check-ins.
you really should, because the
How am
most
I feeling? How
important
did that make
part
you feel happy at work?
is the analysis of the trigger.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, if I've gotten nothing else from therapy, this particular gym is
One mic.
really beneficial for me, because while I was doing the work of identifying my trigger, I wasn't doing the work of the pre and the post.
Yeah.
And so all of that coupled together, I think, is such a healthy way of analyzing yourself, you know? And so you're more able, the other day I was having a trigger. And so you're able to like stop yourself and literally ask yourself, okay, what were we talking about?
Yep.
What happened here? What turned in the conversation that it went from talking to like, now I triggered? Like, what happened there? And then what are these thoughts that I'm holding on
Yep.
to that and it's going to impact how you interact with the world if you believe these
Absolutely.
things to be true.
You
And
can
so,
also talk to your coworkers.
oh yes,
Like, hey, I don't know how you usually operate, but you know, when you speak to people that way, when I get spoken to that way, it does not blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
This is how I would like to be addressed. Like, I remember when I was at All Deaf, I wasn't as eloquent as you. I was just in there like, cause it was a startup and big, you know, big egos in the rooms. And I remember being like, listen, I have children. I won't be spoken to like a child. I'm a man with a mortgage just like y'all. Y'all might have millions of dollars. You're not finna just talk to me any old kind of way. And that's the last time I got talked to. That I don't know who you think this is or who I was. I'm a man too.
yeah.
I ain't rich, but don't think that money won't get somebody socked up.
Hello.
Actually, I never said that. I'll quit this job was my thing. I don't need it, but I do though.
And I think those are the important things,
needed
because
that.
you're
Healthcare.
establishing boundaries.
Yeah, and sometimes people step on you and don't realize.
Right. And we allow them to over
And
and
we
over and over.
listen.
and over and over
You step
again.
on my toe. I'm hey. Remember that video? You stepped on my toe.
Wait, what video?
Black dude in the train.
Oh,
No,
yeah,
you
yeah,
stepped
yeah.
on my toe.
Yeah.
He was
I
pissed.
don't remember. So anyway, I think that the start of can we have a relationship check-in? What I love about that, there's this thing called like soft entries, I think is what it's called, or like a soft start, and it helps you soften what is going to be. Oh, I do remember. Okay, yeah. That's what I thought it was. Okay.
Yes.
It helps you soften what you know will be a hard conversation.
Yes.
So automatically going into a hard conversation, even sometimes something as simple as saying, okay, so this might be a hard
You're
conversation.
gonna have to have a tough conversation.
This might be tough.
Yep.
This is difficult for me to say. Acknowledging that actually makes the conversation a little less
Because
difficult.
you brace yourself.
Yeah. And it allows the other person to as well.
That's what I mean. Like
Yeah.
the other person can brace themselves and say, okay, I'm ready
Yeah.
for that, you know?
So, and for me, I need to have a relationship check-in, and I'm trying. Even last night, we were like, you want to have a relationship check-in, and not that anything happened, but like, I don't always want it to be like, okay, so what happened? You know what I mean? I kind of want it to be like an opportunity.
Yesterday
to
was
say,
actually like-
was a good day, and
It was a
you
good day,
did
and-
this, and I want to say thank you.
I did say that.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying.
And
I did
also
too.
I said, hey, I'm low-key a little bit scared. Like we gotta pay this stuff.
Yeah.
You know, that's a vulnerability moment. Me admitting that I'm scared of something I would not have done prior to me learning about vulnerability. I would have been like, nah, girl, we good. But preparing for the moment to refit the office, doing the keep your distance, like all that stuff worked.
Right.
But that still is a little like you're going into business with new people.
Yeah.
You're putting money. We put money into the racism office only to get kicked out after a year.
Listen.
You know what I mean? So next time we like a
left first.
5-year lease. Then what happened? Coronavirus. Dang it. 3-year lease. So anyway, even sharing, we're having a great day, but I'm a little like, whew, this is the dream. This part became real. Because remember, the app wasn't a dream. Owning a soundstage wasn't technically a dream. I always wanted to make movies and TV shows, but actually owning a soundstage wasn't a physical part of that dream.
Right.
That's a new thing. And we just got in on this lease. And now we got another lease. And then we got the home. And with the children finna be in college.
First of
That's
all,
why
you did a lot of fast forwarding.
No, that's how you. Next thing you know, they say what, 14? He's gonna be 15. I mean, he's gonna be 16 next year. That's how I always get my mind. He's gonna be 16 next year.
Hello, let him get 15.
And that's
this
how
year.
it works.
Let him get.
He's
let
gonna
him
be
get
in
15.
10th grade. I met you in 11th.
So they
He's a
start.
freshman now. He's gonna be a junior Thursday.
I'm fight you. So it starts with simply saying that, and then what we've done is, okay, so this is the event that happened, or this is the conversation that happened, or this is the triggering moment.
Yeah.
And then giving the interpretation and allowing your partner, your spouse, or whoever to respond. And what that does, at least for me, is it helps to color. It helps to offer a different perspective and, again, challenge the narrative that I was telling myself. And I think that's really beneficial because, again, it's not compounding what you
Yeah.
already believe. It's not just providing supportive evidence for what you already believe. It allows, like, hold on, girl, this ain't without a shadow of a reasonable doubt because I have a witness that might say something different. So, and I need that. That's, I'm not saying this is for everyone, but for me, I need that in order to just think about things a little bit different because you can get so entrenched in your own storyline.
Yep.
You can get so entrenched in your own point of view that it's difficult to see it from a different perspective.
Yes.
And so this helps to, again, allow yourself to see it from a different perspective.
Villain in your history
And I think,
books.
yes. And I think at the end,
also totally unrelated. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
we can end on this
Okay. Aaron Burr is probably really happy right now
because
he was like, boy, Trump, you going to take my place as one of the worst political figures in the United States history because the doggone Hamilton really destroyed my reputation was already bad.
Yeah.
But Trump,
he's out of here.
starting an insurrection, whoo, he turned over in his grave and said, appreciate you. Appreciate you, brother.
That's stupid. Okay, so I think that's really it. I really hope that this was a helpful, beneficial episode that was just kind of off the cuff, but real life, some of the things.
For coming up with this episode, because your guest had to reschedule an hour and a half or 2 hours before you were supposed to shoot.
Yeah, that's about right.
Not
but
ideal.
I mean, due to he was. I wish I could play you guys the voice note.
Yeah. No, I'm not
it's
blaming him. I'm just
yeah.
saying, like, as a producer, creative, having to come up with a whole an hour is a long time.
It is when you
to
still
come
got
up
to
with
take
when
a
you-
shower and do your hair and do your makeup
Yeah.
and drive 20 minutes. But it's okay. We figured it
Yeah, we
out.
figured it
we
out.
worked it
Up
out.
top.
We're grateful.
Down
I'm working
low.
on seeing
Too
the
slow.
positivity of things and not dwelling on
down
the
low.
negative. And so we figured it out. And I thought this was good. And I think it was helpful. And I hope that you found it helpful. And that's it, child. And we're going to talk to y'all on the next episode. All right.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.